the inner text. So regardless of the text is within a P or B tag, it doesn't matter. The second is that we're going to check whether or not there is a t-head component. If it has, then we're going to have the column names from there. Otherwise, it will be from the first row of the data. So in this program, which is in the macro.js, so we're gonna do the same trick as we did for getting the links. So the first is that we're gonna check whether or not there is a t-head part. If so, then we're gonna have the column names, which is this part. So next in the t body, next in the t body part, we're gonna loop and to loop for each rows, and for each rows we're gonna check each cell. So if the column heads are not defined, then we're gonna use the first row to define the columns, column names. Otherwise, we're gonna push the data into the data rows. So I made a little bit change here. So later I made a little bit change. So I want to save the data as the CSV format so that I can save that into onto the server folders. So I changed the layout of that. Basically, it's gonna have the layout like this. So it is going to be comprised by the rows. The first row will be the column names, and then the values all wrapped in quotes and separated by the comma. So basically, this is done by this part up until here. So the next is that I'm gonna save that onto the server. So this one is going to be using Ajax and PHP. So I've done that trick before. So in the PHP, I have this PHP file, and basically what it does is that it is going to catch the posted JSON for the different properties. For example, this is the content string to be put into that JSON to be posted there. The second is that, for example, in that same JSON, there is another property which is to indicate the target file name. So with that, it is going to determine the parent folder, and then to determine what target folder it should put in. So now I'm in, like for example, now I'm in this map version 9. So I want to put that under data in a folder called SARS, and inside I'm gonna put the report files there. So that part is to handle that, and eventually it's gonna have the right target file with the full path names. So with that it is going to open the local file and write the lines there and close it, and that's how it saves a TX. Basically, the CSV is a TXT file that is going to be saved by this PHP. And on the JavaScript side, it's very simple. It's just to define a bunch of variables and then to throw it into a function called is saved to server by PHP, and it will require a few parameters like the source file string, which is the content. The second is the target file name. This time you don't have to specify the path because that will be determined by the program, by the PHP. And third is the PHP. So the PHP we just talked about before. So the save to serve by PHP function is also in the same macro file. Again, it's very simple. It is just to set up a bunch of variables. In this case, I'm going to have two variables, and they're going to be put in a JSON structure, which is called the toSend. All right, so the next I'm going to have an AJAX. Basically, is to post the data that has a few arguments. The first is the target PHP, and then the data, which is toSet. It contains two properties. One is the string, the other is the target file name. And then to indicate the type, which is a JSON, and just post it. So it's going to be posted to the PHP, and there is going to, the PHP is going to pull out the values from the two properties, and then to determine the right target file with the full path and save that onto the server. So after everything is done, it is going to go back and return a message that says that everything is saved. So otherwise, it's going to say there are certain mistakes. So these messages can be viewed in the content console.log. So with these programs, I've now saved. I have pulled the SARS reports and put that under the local folder. Actually, it's on the server folder. Then if you go into that, there's a lot of problems. For example, there are spaces that are untrimmed, and also those values are quite strange. Sometimes it is called to be determined, so it is not standardized. So look at a column name. There are spaces, and so this one actually is a unprintable character which cannot be displayed here, and there are other strange characters. So these kind of data cleaning is going to take a while.